Hi, I'm Richie Mackay.
And I'm David Bolt, and you are listening to the Wrong Bias Podcast.
And on show 57, Stadler and Waldoff give a little update on the PBA. Following the British Bowls, we have a little international chat. We give our opinion of the new World Rankings doodah. There's a review of the new AERO grip. Richie tackles boldly on game management, and we answer a few questions we got during the recent streaming, like, does a one-legged duck swim in a circle? And how do you hang your toilet paper, over or under? As always, many thanks to League to Succeed and Bullswear Direct for their support of the podcast, and thanks as ever for your support, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Right, and welcome everybody to more Wrong Bias podcast, and it's show 57. It's been a couple of months since we'd done one, so just like the Channel 4 documentary, 22 kids and counting, it's nice to bang another one out. As we're over halfway through the season, mate, we hope everybody's enjoying the warm weather and the quick greens.
Warm weather and quick greens, where you been?
Yeah, I think I've been in my dreams.
I think we've got the only greenkeeper in the country who manages to get a grain flying at the start of the season. It gets slower all the way through. I think we're the only grain in the country.
But, I think we've got that as well.
Canny all season, to be fair. It's I've obviously missed quite a bit of the last two, so this season's my first full one. So it's been nice to get back out and play for the club again in the leagues, and competitions have gone all right. So not too bad.
I know it's rained a lot, but to be honest, I've only been soaked twice.
There's been 2 games cancelled because it was torrential. It came down really heavy. But apart from that, yeah, I can remember probably once sort of getting a drenching, but that's it really.
Do you think we're getting too soft, mate?
I've said it for ages. I remember the times where you'd be on there and you'd have crikey, I used to see some of the old guys wearing 16 layers, blooming umbrellas, covers over the shoes, everything, and they could barely get down to board, but it's still playing. You'd only walk off the green if there was puddles, and if the ball wouldn't start to go through. And it's like, crikey, we used to play in blooming skis back then and all, because the shoes were that smooth and flat. Crikey, we've got everything in place now, and now as soon as a drop of rain comes off, oh, come on.
Come on, we're going to go off. Oh, it's looking bad. 15 ends.
Can I be staying in here? You'll get COVID.
Oh my God! I mean, the Greens have taken a battering. I'm sure they've taken a battering around the country, and of course, you've got the elderly age group that's possibly delivering from it by. So they're ripping the top of the green off.
They do though, mate. But like I say, I have this argument a lot, and I say this to loads of clubs. And when we do the bit training for Balls England, for the Balls Bash and things like that, there's loads of clubs come on and say, "Oh, what about these new people coming to our clubs who might damage the green?" And I go, "Hang on a second." I'm like, the one thing we want to do is encourage new people to come in and try the sport. I says, it's very rare they're going to come along and purposely want to damage the green. I says, but you'll come on and you'll twist about somebody who might become a member for the next 10, 20 years. But you'll ignore Bob over in the far right-hand corner there who's chucking them from his hip because he's been a member for 40 years. It's like, oh, well. Honestly. But, one thing I'll say about the Greens, and I don't know whether this is reflected right across the country, but there's just far too many greenkeepers now just want them to look pretty instead of playing well. They look nice and lush and green there over the moon, but you're launching them and they're not even gone halfway past the flag. It's like, get them down to the bare bone, man. We live in the blooming UK, not Barbados. You know what I mean? You lose them. You lose them if it gets too much sun on. Oh, yeah, because that rain that's going to come our night's not going to refresh it, is it? Oh, well, man.
Plus the sprinklers. Get the sprinklers on.
Oh, ours is great. I mean, we'll have 3 days of rain and he'll still have the sprinklers on during the night and all. He's a right nugget.
Anyway, while we've been away, I've actually turned 60, mate. Now I can hear a chorus around the country saying the lad never looks. He never looks 60. Well, he might look 60, but I did it. Now, apparently, when you turn 60 and you do a podcast with your mate and you play him in the county pairs, he teases you with a 10-1 lead. And then, because I'm an old man, he kicks us into the ground and turns it around and whops us.
It was you had us worried the first four heads, I'll tell you. Yeah.
We had him worried I was going to shake hands and come off, mate.
I felt for Rod. Like I apologised to you at the end of the game for
You
going
did,
to play against Rod. I did, but
you play to the conditions, mate. It came on raining and it was like bar of soap for Rod. And of course, you qualified in the pairs and triples, mate. I'll just slip that one in.
And the Balkan and all
And
three.
the Balkan, mate. What a day that was. My God, you could fry an egg that day, mate.
You could.
You're all right. My God.
I'm glad I had me factor 0 on.
Yeah, Lord, I know. You come off sizzling, mate.
It was a great day, that one.
Anyway, we have done a little bit outdoor streaming. It is a little bit difficult, but we've done a few for Bowls Durham. And we are heading to East Leek in September for the latter stages of the Rink 66 sponsored UK Family Pairs. Anyway, got loads to chat about. Got no guest. His black book's empty. Anybody would come on. We've all been blackballed.
We thought we'd make people suffer with our voices for a change.
We've got the basics. Right, and a little bit news that broke a few weeks ago regarding the PBA. Good mate, Mr. Parkinson decided to step aside, which was disappointing for myself and I'm sure for everybody else, but obviously there's reasons. Kind of knock the lad for the organisation that he does. He's a cog in a big wheel. He might be a big cog. I hope he can come back. I think he will miss it. I sat down with him a while ago. He'll not miss it. I says, you will, Jason, because come September when everything's running, you'll miss it, mate. And I hope you come back. Yeah, it was disappointing. I know you're chairman of the PBA, mate, in a funny position, so I don't really expect you to comment a great deal on it, mate, to be honest.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, Jason came in with, for the 2 years and he'd said what he wanted to do, and he's come in and without a doubt done a fantastic job. Part of the team, without a shadow of a doubt, he's turned the PBAs as far as the qualifiers, etc., on the head, produced some new great stuff, and he will be a massive miss without a shadow of a doubt. So, having chatted to Jason, and anybody who looks from the outside doesn't need telling twice how much work it is. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of work. I apologise to you just for this podcast alone, because when it gets to competing and doing what you're doing and then working in the sport, and then there's just times, obviously, I kind of commit the time to come down and be able to support you to do some of the commentary at some of these qualifiers, because it ends up where it just takes over your life. And
that's right.
And I think that's where Jason got to. I think, there's only so much you can do, and it's that old saying, you realise what you've got when it's actually gone, and that's going to be the key thing now.
A short while later, we also learned that League to Succeed sponsorship has ended. Everybody came out and says, the Worlds of Jericho has fallen in on the PBA, blah, blah, blah. Well, really, just to put some meat on the bones, League to Succeed with Jacqueline, she came on board to help the PBA when it was sort of like on its honkers. Mm-hmm. And she'd always said, once she gets it into a position where it can support itself and go forward, that she would sort of like step aside. So that's all it is. There's nothing malice about it. I don't think Jacqueline will be offended by me saying that. But a big shout out to Jacqueline, because I support and are pushing for the ladies match play second to none. It's sad because at this minute I've checked out, and across the 3 qualifiers left, there's 99 places still available, so you can put the events on but can't make people support them, and I think that's disappointing for Jacqueline, and it's also a little bit of a reflection on the competitive side of the ladies.
It is, and to be honest with you, that was a figure I wasn't aware of, to be honest with Richie, and again, it is, you've got an opportunity there to qualify for the Worlds and play in the mixed, which is part of that qualification, and it just amazes me how there's not more, especially younger girls. We're seeing, you only got to look at the weekend. You've seen an under-18 international series. You've seen your under-25 international series. A lot of the girls who are playing in that, that's their opportunity to show their worth and show everybody what they're all about. Without a doubt, you've only got to look at Harry Goodwin. There is opportunities out there if you do well in this sport now. There's whether people want to do it or not. But there's Harry's off to Australia now, and he'll be joining your likes as your Alexes and your Pauls and Stewie Anderson, Darren Burnett's out there now. I've just seen Catherine Redinald's going out there, Nikki Brett's going out there. So it's a bigger world in the sport now, and there seems to be more opportunities. And some of these younger players or some of the, maybe not so younger players who think they're up there and can compete, but don't enter. I just question why, to be honest. And here, if there's anybody listening to this, then maybe just drop us a little comment as to why you feel that you don't want to enter. There might be a reason. I don't know.
Yeah, like I say, great work from Jacqueline to support the PBO of the Scottish Open. I think, did she do the UK Open at Stanley as well? I think
Jackeline's amazing. I mean, without a doubt, Jacqueline for this sport is amazing, and it's not just PBA. It's the sport in general. She supports the Bournemouth Open. We covered quite a few podcasts ago. We had Tom Warner on who was talking about the Bournemouth Open, and she's instrumental in supporting that as well. And she supports so much. She's just fantastic for this sport. So it's not just PBA. And again, can't thank her enough for what she does, not from my position, just for the sport as a whole. And I hope everybody out there appreciates what she actually does and thinks the same. And I agree with you. Those who were saying, "Oh, the world's falling in," then it's easy to say it, but let's just see what happens.
Anyway, mentioned there about Catherine Redknapp. Great news. She's getting an invite into the Aussie BPL.
Yeah,
she'll go down as a pirate. Oi, oi, Captain, oi, oi. She's played alongside Alex Marshall, and I think Ellen Falconer's the coach, mate. So just reward for Catherine.
Definitely. I mean, over the last few years, it's probably been predominantly Scottish players who's been out there, and Irish. Obviously, not forgetting Gary Kelly, who's obviously flying over there at the minute as well. Doing really, really well. It was predominantly Scottish players who seem to be getting into these sort of BPLs and the major tournaments over there. But it's nice to see some English faces over there now. And like I said, I'm sure I saw Nicky. Nicky's had an invite out there as well. Pretty sure. So yeah, all good. Look forward to watching that.
So look forward to see Catherine coming on the green. Shiver me timbers, me hearties. Over the side with him. Anyway, speaking of Down Under, there is a new world ranking list created under the World Bowl Series banner. No, not the other one. The way it works is the World Bowl Series award a platinum, a gold, or silver points to rank an event, and the points are totted up to reveal a number one. Now, I would have lost my house on it that two Australians would want to be top of the rankings, considering it's been created in Australia. The only thing for me, mate, is if you're selected to play an event, how can you collect ranking points? Come on, spit it out, son. Spit it out. I mean, I'm not knocking the idea is okay. The practicality of it is another thing.
No, I don't know. I've looked at it. I wish I had an answer for it, but yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like in the nicest possible way. You're looking at some of the lists that's out there, and yeah. Yeah, you might have to gap Bill here because I honestly I haven't really got a comment. It is in the big scheme of things, we need something like that. We need something to encourage a world list to have it, but I might be wrong, but it just completely and utterly looks biased to the Southern Hemisphere to me. It's
well, I just think it's another great piece of marketing by the Australians to get more sponsorship, mate. That's all I'm looking at it. I just think, it's. I mean, they brought out an updated ranking list, and because the players that played in that recent Test series that they got selected for, that they got invited and selected for, they've gone up the rankings. Joe Public, who didn't get selected. I just think it's,
I just, there's players at the top of the list there who you probably wouldn't knock as being up there at the top of the world. And then there's players long way down the list. And you look up that list and go, all right.
Yeah. I mean, they've got the national championships at Leamington in it, which fair enough, everybody gets a chance to win, right? But they've also got the Scottish national championships. Now, Scotland's, I think that you can only enter. Can you only enter one or two events in Scotland?
Again, like I say, I haven't looked into it enough to look at what all of the criteria and everything is, but it just looks.
They've put the Hong Kong Classic in. I mean, you get invited in the Hong Kong Classic, don't you?
Well, it's an invite to the countries, and two people are selected from each country again. So it's all, you're right what you say. It's all based on selection, and you'll get the arguments. And I've seen people online arguing with that. Well, if you're getting selected, you're obviously one of the best players in the world. No, sorry, but no, it's.
I mean, you're going to love this because I'm going to revert back to snooker. Because the snooker rankings are over tournaments which everybody can enter around the world. I know it costs them a few quid, but this one, okay, it'll cost you a few quid. to get around the world, went there.
If you're gonna chase a world ranking and you want to prove yourself as one of the best players in the world, every single one of them competitions should be an open competition. Full stop. Yeah. That'll be my closing gambit on it, because I agree with you. Selection is somebody else's opinion, and that opinion could be the difference between you being up there or not being up there. And people are always going to twist and mourn and say, well, and I just think every ranking list in the world is based on open competitions that anybody can qualify for. Yeah. If you want to chase that, and you want to, like golf, like snooker, if you want to chase it and you want to put the money in and you want to get out there and travel the world and try and prove yourself to be one of the best players in the world, fantastic. Go and do it. To get ranking points based on somebody else's opinion, that's where I sort of just think it's
that's the bugbear with me as well, mate, to be honest. Anyway, there's been a lot of international bowls. We've had the British Bowls event, which is the equivalent, the replacement of the six-ring home international series, which I'm not going to mention anymore. I'm never going to mention that anymore. With the new format, congratulations on England winning the men and the women. Feedback from the players has been all good. There's been a little bit of critique about the following the scoring, but hey-ho.
I've done my bit of stat off.
Come on, then.
I know you like to do your bit of research. I've always said, look, if there's a reason for changing something, then let's wait and see what the change is. Let's see what it's for. My opinion on this, the six rings are for the 24 team. I think there's a massive place still there for that format. However, I caught up with Sam for the event, and I made a point of speaking to him and asking him what was it like, and he said it's the best series he's ever played in. He says purely and simply because every single game had a meaning. He says, how many times have we played in a six-ring series and you're 60 shots ahead and it's a damn squib when you walk off the green? And I sort of, I can agree with that. He says every single game was on a knife point. Each game could determine sort of points of getting over the line, winning a game, whatever it might be. And he says you just had that team ethic where everybody, if they'd finished and there was still games going on, they were going over to support their teams, because again, every point mattered. So, I talked to Sam a lot about it, and from the sounds of it, I think it's a really, really positive format. I think maybe a little downside is there's a heck of a lot of games to play. So there's a load of games, and that was a bit of feedback that I'd heard, that it was a long old day. By the time you got back to the hotel, you didn't have time to sort of relax or do anything, because it was too late, and you were back the next day and playing a lot. And I says, the scoring seemed to be very hard to follow. There was, for me, if they'd done a lot of pre-work and said, this is exactly how it's going to be, this is what the series is going to be, that's the format, this is how you score points. It's not necessarily about who's going to win the most games overall. It could be a case of the individual disciplines. If everybody was understanding of that going into it, then I think you wouldn't have got the critique, as we call it. But that sort of fell on a lot of deaf sort of ears in a lot of respect, with people going, what's going on? I haven't got a clue. And then the lack of sort of updates, I think, was like on live scoring and things. You're going to do that type of thing, and these games are going to hinge on what happens next. You've got to do the whole lot. But again, it's a learning process. It's a new thing. They've tried it. It seems to have gone down really, really well. And you would hope again next year will be a step up again from that, and you will get new things added in. Yeah. They'll tweak it a little bit, and it could be the future of what international bowls is all about. And if that's the case and it works, then no problems.
Fair. I mean, I've never knocked trying something different. I just like this. I just like the 16 international. Obviously, that's dead in the water now. We've never said no against it. We've always said, right, try it and see if it works. It works. Fair play. Fair play. England had a test match against Ireland as well. Be good experience, especially the Irish squad. I think there was a few new faces in from the England side. I think Chloe Brett was possibly amongst it as well. So it was nice to see Chloe following her dad's footsteps. We had the under-18s international series taking place recently at Belfast. Congratulations to Scotland. England did have a bit of a faux pas, because the format was you're supposed to have 6 and 6 players on the green at the same time. One game against Ireland, England had 7 and 5, 7 lads and 5 lasses. The rumour has it that it was Sam Tulshard that they tried to smuggle into the extra rink. So they were docked 4 points overall. As it happens, the 4 points didn't matter. It came down to England-Scotland final game, which Scotland ran out winners by about 4 shots overall. The young ones seem to enjoy it. The photographs that you've seen back full of enthusiasm and what have you. So it's great. The only thing I'm going to say is both events did get a little bit critical because they weren't streamed. Let's just remember that it does cost money to stream these events, and it's not a bottomless pit of money to stream them. So, but otherwise, mate, both went off well.
Yeah, and like I said, again, saw the keyboarders going to go about the England situation, and my comment to that is, we're human. There's been a mistake made. Sure, plenty of people out there have made similar mistakes across their life. But the thing for me was just how it wasn't picked up by the opposition or other managers or whatever. This is not just Balls England making an issue, making an error. This is the whole of the competition as a whole not picking that up in the first place. So it happened, and like you said, it didn't make any difference. Ultimately, at that age, winning and losing isn't the be all and end all. It's about the experience. It's about being put in these positions where you've got to play the big balls at the right time, learning when to play the right balls, and mixing with these guys who are running the teams and gaining from the experience. So I feel like chucking me phone through a window sometimes when I just say constant. It's the same group of people over and over and over. Twist, moan, critique, etc., etc. Yeah, fair enough. We've all got an opinion. We've always said that we're all entitled to our opinion, but just have an opinion. It's like, all right, just made a mistake. You didn't need 30, 40 comments.
To your points of view.
Oh, God, man.
Look, mind you, there was one thing back in our days when we played under 25s, and I've looked at the photographs from Belfast, and they're in the circle and they're doing the warm-up exercises.
I know.
Back in our days, have a bacon butty, mate.
I was going to say,
you want sausage on?
This is a major reason I retired.
I'm good. I couldn't reach my toes at that age.
Get me leg up. What you on about, man? I'm barely getting to bed.
So it was a good experience for all concerned. I hope they've all got good international futures. Quick chat on equipment, mate. AERO's new enhanced grip. Apparently they've spent 9 months developing it. It's designed by science to almost eliminate the wobble on delivery. We have shaped the grip so the wind doesn't get stuck on the grip. What that? We have sloped the grip so that the thumb and fingers fall into the advanced shaped grip. Enhance is the future in grips. Now, I've had a look at it. How wide is that?
It looks deeper in the picture than what it actually is, man.
Is it?
It's actually really, really nice. I've got a set because outdoors for me, I've used AEROs now for, it'll be 10 years, kicking on at 10 years now, I think. And I love my AEROs. And the only thing that really frustrates us with them is when you have that little bit of wet weather and the greens start to dry through the game, they just go like marble. They go like glass.
Right.
Slip out of my hand, obviously, my little chubby fingers that we've talked about on many occasions. So I ordered a set just to basically see whether that would negate that issue that I had, whether I could get a bit more purchase on them. And I've got to say, really, really comfortable. The running surface on the pictures looks as if it's extremely
tiny. The running surface,
yeah, it's not in any shape or form. It is a really nice grip. So again, the old so soon as people saw it coming on the keyboards, and look at the state of that, man, they've just turned the mega grip around, blah blah blah. It's like no, they haven't actually.
Is it deeper? Is it actually deeper than the Taylor's one, the Extreme grip? Because the Taylor one, I think, looks very deep.
I don't like the Drake's Pride Pro 50 deep grip. The edges are really, really sharp.
Yes.
And then your fingers gone into them. But for me, I think if you were to do a slow-mo, I would say you've got a lot of opportunity there where it's going to catch the side of a finger or whatever, and whatever. It's nothing like that, mate, to be honest with you. And I was really, really impressed with it. The reason I've gone back to my scoop grips is purely and simply because it just didn't give us that extra grip that I have with me own. And that's just personal choice. But the bonus with it is, I completely agree with them. It sits in your hand and you feel as if you're using a smaller ball.
Right.
The running surface isn't, like I say, it's not narrow in any shape. Balls came away lovely. No issues.
Were there any of the balls? I can imagine with that grip, you're not going to get many balls lying at an angle. Propping up at an angle, I can imagine them just going to belly flop all the time.
Yeah, I mean, my scoop, I always tend to get the fall back off them or whatever. But to be honest with you, I think don't look at the picture and think it looks like a really narrow, really deep. Somebody says you'd be sticking 3 holes in it next. It's like it's nothing like that. A really, really nice grip, I've got to say. So no issues from my part. Just personal preference for me is that I love the scoop grip. I think it's the best. Scoop grip's the best grip on the market by a country mile, my opinion.
Right. Then, another subject, game management. Here's a scenario for you. Pick your brains. Right. You're playing a game you're dominating the heads, and say you're about 10-9 up at halfway. It's got the feel of one of those games where daft end, you're going to drop a count for all you're dominating the head. You, as a bowler, international bowler, would you look to change it, even though you're dominating the heads, or would you just plough on and say, right, he's going to miss one time or another? Or is it in the back of your mind saying, he's not going to miss one time or another, he's going to grab a crappy 5 and we're going to be chasing?
I'll always go on the side of if I'm dominating heads. If you're putting good balls in there, I think Sammy made a really good point last time where he'd said in the indoor triples, and Ryan was, he actually said to Ryan, as daft as it sounds, he's actually getting too close because it just set up the runner for them on a regular basis. I think it's similar for me, is if you're playing a game and you're not really dominating on any length, I think you just get to a point where you turn around and say, we've just got to back ourselves that we're going to be better than these over the course of the game. I wouldn't necessarily change it just purely on the fact of it can have the negative, it can have the opposite effect. You can drop to a shorter length or a fuller length and then lose the pace out. And it's one of those hindsight moments, isn't it? You guys,
yeah, I mean,
why didn't we just keep ploughing and take the chance of him missing? Because it does happen in a game. We talked about our pairs the other day, and to be fair, we took Rod out of the game, and you still managed to hang in there, getting balls in and cutting us down. But you can't do it when it's relentless. You can't do it every single time.
No, without a doubt. Yeah. I think many a time, probably. I mean, many a players probably done exactly what you said, and they've dropped that crappy end, and then when they've come off, they says, "Should I have changed it? Should I have changed it?" Every lot. You many times you come off and say, how the hell have we lost that game? Dominate the heads.
So it's that word hindsight, though, isn't it? It's like if me granny had should be me granddad. It's like if's a great word, isn't it? It's like if we changed it, we might have gotten beat by 10. But if we hadn't, if we also changed it, it might have just changed their look. And you've got to go with your strengths. And I would always say you play the game to your strengths, not your opposition. If they're chasing and getting results, if it was to happen end after end after end, sometimes in life you've just got to turn around and say to yourself, just wasn't our night.
Yeah.
And it's that age-old thing that we've said about this sport, that it's one of the only sports you've got no control over your destiny. Right. You've got no control over it, because if you haven't got the last ball, you could lie shots all day long. And if somebody's just having one of them days where they cannot miss, there's nothing you can do about it. And competition time. Thanks as always to Ballsware Direct, who support the podcast and provide the vouchers for the competitions. And we've got a simple question that I'm sure everybody will wait for the answer for and copy on Facebook. And the question is, where were the recent Under-18 International Championships played? Drop us the answer on Facebook or on email, and just let us know the name of the Bowls Club, and you will be in the hat to go onto the golden wheel for the chance to win the voucher with Ballsware. Thanks very much, all.
Right, there you go, mate. Show 57, another one over with. Back to basics, mate. Two lads sitting having a chat about balls and a few subjects, which makes a nice pleasant change. Nice to get back behind the mic. While we've been streaming, there was 3 questions that came up. First one, how often do you polish your balls? I bet you've never polished a set of balls in your life.
I said that. It's funny you should mention that. I would say I've polished my balls outdoors about 15 times this season.
Really? Even though the white ones that you kind of see that they look grubby.
No, it's not so much to make them look good. It's purely and simply what we've just been talking about, the enhanced grip. Outdoors, I always will grip my balls, because it obviously gives us that grip, and I find that I can probably get away with a game or two before they start to feel smooth again in my hands. So I'll literally, pretty much before every game, unless I pick it out of my bag and think, there's still a bit on that, I'll stick a tiny bit of will grip on each ball and polish them out before a game now.
I was going to ask you whether you use grip or willy grip.
Will grip.
Will grip. You new things every day, mate.
Well, I did it before we played you in the pairs.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And it's not to make them look shiny or make them look pretty. It's purely and simply.
I bet you when you polish them, you go, our babes, this time, our babes, you're going to be good.
Come on, my little babies.
Come on, precious. Right, next one. What advice can you give while playing on a heavy green? My advice would be chuck 'em harder, but go on, you go for it.
Well, I think we've had the question before. We talk about how you play at the start of the season, and I look a yard through the jack all of the time. I always ignore the jack and play a yard through it. Yeah. And it's, if you don't get your ball away cleanly, you'll tend to find that obviously you lose that yard and you're close. If not, you ain't going to do a great deal of damage by resting into that at that, on a heavy grain anyway. So if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But I'd far rather have balls through the head than short on a heavy grain.
It's back end's nightmare, mate, isn't it? Short balls outdoors. Totally. You're plowing through them.
Yeah.
You can play the tippy tappy shop.
Yeah, and I've said before as well, I think on heavy grains as well, follow through is massively important. I think just trying to play a fixed stance delivery on a heavy grain, you're going to do some damage to your wrist or your shoulder at some point. So you've just got to get through your ball and follow it. Makes it a lot easier.
I think what Sammy said was if it doesn't fail up, it's not going to be up.
Yeah.
But it's fine for outdoors, man. I think it's spot on. Right, last question. In wet conditions, what is your thoughts on using a glove?
Chuck the gloves in the bin. God's sake, it does my head in. It does my head in when I see gloves. It's a touch sport. I was thinking
that because you rely on your touch from your fingers and what have you in your hand, and the glove would probably take that away from you.
I think so. I mean, you'll get used to it, I suppose, but yeah, I suppose it depends on the bowler and the condition of the grain. But for me, if it's on something that does a bit and it's running at a decent pace, especially indoors, I see people wearing gloves indoors and I want to rip my hair out. Like playing against Michael Jackson, honestly. But I just find that, it's the hand-eye coordination sport. And everything you do and all the touch and everything that you're feeling is obviously going through your brain and it's telling you how hard you got to throw it. Now, it's, it obviously works for some. Some people really struggle to grip all of a ball, but my suggestion on that would be do exactly what I do and stick some will grip on every game.
Well, I think you should have put a boxing glove on against us in the past.
It was our second attempt and all. I know we missed that deluge of rain by about 10 minutes again.
We did as well. I mean, it was just a coincidence that England were playing the semi-final and were just stepping on the green and chucked it down.
Did I?
Couldn't get out quick enough.
Hammered it down. Quarter-final it was, wasn't it? Was it
quarter-final? That was it. Right, folks. Well, that's another one done. We hope you enjoyed this little bit different one. Back to basics. We probably get another one out in a couple of months, maybe. Any feedback, feel free. We're big lads. We'll take it on the shoulders. Any questions, any comments, any suggestions you want us to talk about during the next one, feel free. So as always, mate, thanks very much.
Take care, all. Thanks very much.
We'll see you later.
Thank you for listening and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.